Just pray. Hey everybody, this is Miles with Graffiti Gospel. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked or subscribed or followed on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or any of those places you want to talk about, we can. It really helps out the channel when you can support me by just following, subscribing, tuning in when you can, and if you can't, then just being able to come back and play the video afterwards. I always post them. Sometimes I do clips and highlights, just depending. Yeah, I hope you like the new look. Feels great. Looks awesome. Very bright, encouraging. So yeah, we're continuing the conversation of God who provides, the God who I trust and love with all my heart. Jesus is Lord of my life, and He's fantastic. And last week we talked about, Jahovah Jireh. We talked a little bit more about the meaning of His name, the God who provides, provider. And we had some great discussion and some really cool insights on just how, as a piece of artwork, how we can best describe the impact that we're headed, as I guess you could say, as a society, a global society, and where God fits in all that, in our hearts and in our minds regarding provision. And we had some fun time. A friend of mine who was tuning in, we had some fun kind of bouncing off ideas, and I was able to draw this week, and I have a couple compositions that I can't wait to share with you, which I will in a little bit. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about provision, specifically around the topic of my grandma. So I don't know if any of you know, but last March, my grandmother, she passed away early March. Probably, I don't even remember the day. I think it might have been like the 9th or the 8th or the 11th, somewhere in there. It's a great topic around provision, because I was deep cleaning my garage. It was a really, really, really nice day out. And I remember I was tearing out a bunch of shelving out of the back part of my wall. I mean, it was just like hands deep. Like, I'm tearing out nails, pulling off 2x4s and plywood. And I just remember getting a text from my dad that my grandmother was in the hospital. And they had to rush her to the hospital. I don't even remember if he said that she had a heart attack or anything. I think he just said that something happened with grandma and she's heading to the hospital and I'll keep you updated. And I was like, all right, and not even 2 hours later, like, he's like, I'm sorry to have to share this with you, but your grandmother passed. And it was rough. That came out of nowhere, because we were just talking about going to visit my grandma Marlene at the end of April, because I hadn't seen her in like a couple years, and I was really jonesing to see her and catch up with her. And she had some pretty bad dementia. She was 91. She was older, and so she was having a hard time remembering things and repeating herself a lot. But getting out of the weeds on that, I don't know. God put on my heart to bring up my grandma, and I think part of the reason is because my grandma was a pivotal provider in my life. Like, I have so many great memories of growing up with her. I used to stay at her house all the time on the weekends when my mom would work, when I used to live in Indiana, because that's where my family's from, is Indiana. So I was born there, and I lived there till I was 8, and so I have very many fond memories of going fishing with my grandma. My grandma was an outdoors person. She loved being outside. She camped all the time. My dad camped with her, with all of his siblings. They would do this really cool thing, and I kid you not, I don't think anybody does this. And if they do, that's amazing, because I wish I would have done it when I was growing up. But my dad and my aunt and uncle, my grandma would take all 3 kids up to Lake Michigan for like the entire summer. So like my grandpa would stay back because he only lived like 2 hours away from Michigan, like Lake Michigan itself. And they would stay up at this place called Covert, and they would stay there for like, I don't know, probably 2 months. And grandpa would come and visit them on the weekends, but otherwise they were at the beach every day for like 2 months. Like, talk about incredible. But my grandma was a huge provider in my life. Like, you know, my parents divorced when I was 2. Rightfully so. I mean, they weren't meant to be together. And, you know, I was kind of like what I call a 1% accident. Like, you know, I wasn't an accident. God provides. But still, it was one of those things growing up, like, you know, since my mom and dad weren't together, my grandma really stepped in and provided in a lot of ways. It's really cool. I thought I was going to be like super sad talking about all this, you know, like just bringing it up, because I haven't really talked about it in a few months. But no, I'm actually really joyful talking about it because it just reminds me of how amazing she was to me as a grandma. And so yeah, she was a huge outdoor woman. But yeah, here's a picture of her. I wanted to show this. I thought the video is gonna glitch a little. I have a little bit of a video issue I need to sort through, so it'll delay for like 2 seconds, but it'll be great. So yeah, this is my grandma. Excuse the little glitch. I gotta figure it out. But this camera's awesome. I have to reel it in. So this is my beautiful grandma when she was younger. And if you ever wondered where the artistic side of me came from, it was from her. Wait, right here. From her. Right here. She used to make a living doing art. She used to travel the region and sell her crafts and her art, her watercolors. She used to do, if you see her, it's kind of hard to tell, but she's got a piece of wood, driftwood, and she's I think she's got like a burning tool. She would burn these images of these animals on them, like a crane or like a bird, you name it. Like sometimes it's just like thistles or leaves, you know, or brush, you know, from a lake or a river. She used to sell these things. I have one in my house. It's actually hung up. After she passed away, I took one and I have it hanging up. But this is where I get my artistic side, is from her. So because she made a good living doing art, and my grandpa worked, he was an accountant. So he had a pretty steady gig. And so they would just take this summer and just go camping. So yeah, that's a picture of my grandma. I'll leave it up for a while. But yeah, so on the topic of provision, when it comes to my grandma, she would, every year before school, she would send me a check to buy shoes and pants for school. And it was one of the most exciting times of the summer for me, because back in the day, you know, buying a pair of Vans or a pair of Airwalks was like the deal. So I was always like shopping ahead of time for like the hottest pair of Airwalks, because every kid in school, we would all show off our new Airwalks to everybody. And so she was a provider for that. Like, she knew that it was hard, you know, for my mom and my dad had a complicated relationship communication wise. So my mom's awesome and my dad's awesome. We all have our shortcomings, you know, and so by God's grace, you know, he forgives us for all those. And grandma, just out of her own kindness of her own heart, would just send me these, just money here and there, just to help out with little things for school. Or, you know, she also bought almost every pair of skates that I ever wanted. It took coercing sometimes, but I always knew, man, grandma, I really want this pair of skates, because I skated every day, 8 hours a day, got bad grades in school because of it, but I was obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed with rollerblading. And so I would show her these pair of skates and she'd be like, well, how much are they? You know, and I'd tell her and she'd be like, okay, well, when you come visit, we'll order them. And I was like, yes, you know, so she was just a staple in that way. And it was fantastic. Man, I just rejoice in it. And I'm so thankful that she was able to do that for me. And I know that, you know, drawn to prayer, this segment is kind of a time that it started off as just like doing art and praying, but it's been a really great outlet just sharing my personal journey with God in my life, including the people that are in my family or friends. Because I think one of the most important things about having a relationship with Christ is it's not just something you read, it's something you live out. And so just sharing about my own personal experience with God, including growing up and just being with family, I think is really important. So I want to take the time out of every segment on Fridays to just share what God's doing in my life on top of the topics that we're doing. A practical application, I guess you could say, or a personal application. But so yeah, every year, checks in the mail. God would provide, and He used her for that. And you know, I was spoiled. She spoiled the crap out of me, like just absolutely spoiled the crap out of me. But I looked up to her because she was an artist too. You know, she has these awesome watercolors of just like pumpkins and still lifes, you know, and she's very talented. She's very artsy. That's where I got it from. So yeah, that's my grandma. So Jahovah Jireh, the God who provides. Oh, that's right. So my grandma, when she passed away in March, I was crushed. I was absolutely devastated. And a few weeks before she passed away, and this is super intimate, you know, so I'm just exposing myself here because why not? Like, honestly, this is a great opportunity for me to just reflect on some of this stuff too. And I was sleeping one night and I had a dream that I was visiting my grandma at where she was staying, which was like a nursing home. She lived in like a cell block. I mean, it was just, I mean, it's a nice place, but like, you know, it's very small, very niche. And I just remember she was up at the glass pane and I couldn't come in to see her. So I sat at a bench right at the window. And when I was sitting there, I was staring at her in the window and the window was fogged. And I could see her and I just started crying and I was looking at her and I told her that I loved her. And then she looked back at me and she wrote in the fog, "I love you." And then she like put her hand up on the window and she gave it a kiss. And it was like one of those dreams. I don't know if you've ever had a dream where like you cry all night. I don't know if it's like just your body or mind or your heart just trying to like, just whacked my mic, trying to like heal or whatever. I don't know. But I remember waking up that morning and just being like, this was intense. And I felt like I had cried for eternity. Like it felt like I cried forever. And I was like, this is significant. I was like, this is important. And she was on my mind for a while, you know, like just randomly. Like I think I had maybe about 2 or 3 dreams similar to that, but that one stuck out the most. It was super pivotal, and I remember telling my wife about it, and I was like, I gotta go see my grandma. I gotta go see her. I can't wait any longer. And that's when me and my dad started talking about going up and trying to plan a visit. Not even a couple weeks after that dream, she passed away. But it was really confirming for me because it was like, in a way, I felt like God was providing an opportunity for me to say goodbye to my grandma because I wasn't going to get that opportunity to say goodbye. And so, you know, it's weird looking at it in this fresh light because when you're in it and you lose a loved one that you care about, you know, you're just kind of in shock a little, and then you kind of just go into the motions of trying to figure out, you know, your trip and your plans and all that. But now on this topic of God the provider, Jahovah Jireh, it really has brought fresh light to me that, gosh, God provided a way for me in my own heart and mind and soul to say goodbye to my grandma. Like, it's pretty profound. So yeah, so then, you know, I went and visited and that's how I got this picture of my grandma, was from that visit. And the funeral was great, you know, and I mourned the loss of my grandma very well. And I feel great about where I'm at and where she's at. My dad told me that someone had come into the room and prayed over her as she was passing. She had a heart attack, and it was very abrupt and very sudden. And then I think she died on the way to the hospital. But yeah, she lived a good life. I mean, she was a human, you know, but she was wonderful and she was beautiful. God rest her soul, right? So I wanted to bring that up because she's such a great, genuine provider for all the people that she loved. I was blessed. She left me a tiny bit of money, and it was nice to be able to I was able to get a new iPad so that I could draw. And it was very sentimental for me because she was all about my art. She was all about my supplies. And some of the times when she would send me money, I would use it to buy art supplies. And so like this new iPad is like, it was very touching to go purchase it and put it in my hand and then say, thank you, Grandma, one last time. Like, thanks for providing this for me, because I'm going to use this like every day for like, I don't even know how many years. And it was like, she wasn't even gone. It was like she was just doing what Grandma does best, which is being there for her grandkid, you know. And so I wanted to share that because I wanted to honor her and just remind you all that like when you have a loved one that provides, that is God providing for you in every shape, way, or form. Even if you don't even recognize it, even if you don't even give him the credit, he's providing for you in ways you don't even realize. You know, it's like when she decided to leave, this little small nugget, just this tiny little nugget of just saying, Miles, I love you and I'm gonna miss you. This is for you. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have a ton of money. She wasn't like a rich person, you know. She lived pretty frugally. She did what she enjoyed the finer things of life, like being outside and pruning bushes and flowers, sitting by a lake. She just took random pictures of random crap everywhere just because of the color. Like she just absolutely loved color. So she would just stop and take pictures, and sometimes it would drive me nuts because I'd be with her and I'd be like 12 years old. I'm like, Grandma, stop taking pictures. Just stop taking pictures. But she just saw those things, you know, like where the rest of us would just walk by and not give two craps about. She would be like, wow, look at that. And she would take a picture of it. So yeah, that's my grandma. And that's just a little tiny lesson on how God provides. Man, it's so refreshing for my soul to even talk about it. So yeah, I've got this just kick-ass iPad that I get to just honor my grandma with every single day. And what's nice about it is every time I draw on it, I'm going to think of her because she's the one that provided it. God is the one that provided it. So yeah, on to the next part where I'll show you kind of what I've been drawing lately. So let me get situated with the iPad. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm trying this new look. Okay, so bear with me. Bye, Grandma. Love you. All right, let's see here. So I gotta do the whole mirror thing. So they're gonna pop it up. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. I think that looks about right. Yeah. Cool. And then, so yeah, the artwork on Jahovah Jireh is a little deeper than the rest of them. It's more intense. Especially with the news from this week with Facebook changing their name to Meta. Now let's just talk about this, okay? And I'm gonna show you some fun things. Okay, right here. That was a beautiful picture of my wife. I don't know if you saw it. Oh, I haven't changed yet. Okay, that's good. That's probably for the better. Okay, so this artwork here, we're gonna switch. It's gonna freeze for a second. Bear with me. Have grace. I should probably check to make sure. Facebook didn't work the first time, and for all I know, it's not even live. And I've just been talking to myself. Which, hey, why not, right? Looks like I'm live. That's great. I should probably check to make sure. Facebook didn't work the first time. Yeah, there I am. Okay, it's too bad I'm sharing at the end of all that, but you know, it is what it is. All right, there we are. That was me sharing, and my Dumb and Dumber gifts worked. Yes, score! I changed all my alert boxes to Dumb and Dumber gifts because it's my favorite movie. Why not? I'm glad it worked. Okay, so this is the artwork. I'm gonna have to fix this super fast. So bear with me. I'm all about it looking good. Okay, so I have 2 of these for some weird reason. Oh no, I don't. I just did it wrong. So yeah, this is kind of where I'm at composition wise. I don't know. I'll get into the meaning of it in just a second. After this quick stutter. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that this week because that's terrible. Okay, so it's the maximizer in me, sorry. So this is Jahovah Jireh, and it's so funny. I mean, I hope Tony's watching because he needs to see what we've been doing. But this is where I landed with my artwork about what's more important is your salvation. God provides salvation. Jahovah Jireh, the provider. And so if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about the ultimate thing, which is our life. Where we go when we die. I mean, everyone's going to die. Doesn't matter who you are. No one's impenetrable to death. So this is kind of the concept of like, you know, being on a stream and doing live streaming and talking about the topics I'm talking about. Just trying to be authentic and real, share my life experiences, and do it creatively is a challenge. And it's been a challenge every week, trying to do this well, with excellence, with a pure heart, and just to be authentic. And it, you know what? Being authentic is easy for me. It's the other stuff and the problems and the troubleshooting and not knowing how to live stream and trying to figure it out. And this artwork right here is exemplary of where we're headed. And I don't want to say that it's necessarily prophetic, because that can kind of sound a little like dogma-ish, but more encouraging us in the direction we're heading as a society when it comes to how we honor the dead, how we honor our loved ones. Again, with my grandma. That's why I brought her up. These are holograms, and the concept is like, you know, you're looking up at the sky and there's a normal tombstone at the bottom, right? So you're seeing this normal tombstone down here, and then you're seeing these holograms that all they're doing is just showing off like, hey, I had this many likes on this post and it was the most popular post I had. Like, and that's what you want to show eternity? That's when your family comes by to see you. Instead of it saying I was a loving husband and a loving father and a God-fearing man, eventually I can see it replacing all those things with, hey, I actually had a viral video. Here it is. See it now. You know, like I completed the 1% achievements on these video games, meaning only 1% of the population actually did it. Like, those are becoming increasingly more important to people in this generation. Live streaming is like one of the biggest things. It's booming. It's huge. Tons, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people stream video games, content, just chatting. Just in Twitch alone, in the just chatting section, on average, there's 500 something thousand people just tuning in, not including the people who are streaming. That is a significant amount of people just hanging out talking. So it just shows you the importance of tech in our lives, including myself. I am not exempt of this. I love tech. My job is tech. I'm a full-time tech guy at a store. I repair computers for a living, and I live stream for a hobby, and I do art digitally for a hobby. So this is like right here in the middle of my forehead. But I thought it was great. Man, I got chills when I watched the highlights of that Facebook thing where they changed their name to Meta, and the stuff they're talking about. Like, it's crazy. I mean, it's fascinating stuff, but it just shows you, whoa, why? Don't go away. Don't go away. We want to keep looking at you. Come on. I love that when I mirror, it doesn't show you my passcode. How amazing is that? It just shows you where we're headed as a society. Like, for instance, they're going to have this thing called the metaverse. Like, we've seen movies on this. Like, we literally have seen movies on this. Like, this is going to happen whether we like it or not. And I think that's the thing, is like I'm asking myself since I watched that video, it's like a request from God. It's like saying, hey, what am I supposed to do with this information? As a Christian, seeing what it could become, which is important to do as a believer, is to ask yourself, this could go really south. Like the fact that you would replace your entire body with a digital avatar that looks like a cartoon of yourself. And yes, you're socializing and connecting, but you're not. It's like, it's all fake. It's like, and you know they're going to design all this stuff to feel better than the real world, to be more vibrant than the real world. For example, massively multiplayer online video games, MMORPGs. Those are addicting. Now imagine being in a virtual reality world where you have your own home, your own virtual home, and you can make it however the heck you want, and you can go there whenever you want, and your friends can chime in from around the world and come hang out with you there whenever you want. And then you can watch movies there and play video games there. You can play chess virtually there in AR, augmented reality. Like this is a significant thing. And you think that like social media stuff is problematic now with regulations that need to be in place for how they navigate through a lot of the chatter of just the political world and the social world that we live in. Imagine trying to regulate how people live in this world. You know, so I thought that this was pretty darn timely given what just transpired this week, that I'm not too far off, I don't think, from what we're expecting. Like, you know, if we're going to have a home, if you're going to have a home that's digital, you're going to have friends that are digital, you're going to have a grave that's digital. And you really got to ask yourself, what's more important in life? You know, connection's important. Like, we all need connection. We all need relationships. You know, I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 boys. I have friends. I have a church community. I have a good, decently balanced life that I can help. And I still find tech and video games and movies and content challenging to navigate, let alone having my kids grow up with this. So that's the question I'm asking myself this week and praying about is, God, this is not probably what I will live in. It'll probably be, I'll be much older and probably getting behind in the times, and so I probably will lag on with it, but my kids are going to grow up in it. And they're going to be the ones going to high school with the potential of the metaverse being an everyday conversation. I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea. I have no idea how to parent in that. I don't know how to be a husband in that. I mean, obviously I don't own a VR set. I got too much of an addictive personality. Probably never will own one. I definitely enjoy it. I've definitely done it and it's cool. But yeah, I could ramble for hours on this topic, but I think that it's pretty clear that that is a big thing. So I wanted to kind of cap off with just one scripture that I think is really good and encouraging for anybody who struggles with the concept of understanding that God provides for you, especially in a time where everything is trying to throw provision your way. Let's see here. Where was I going to get that from? The Bible. Where's my Bible at? Let me find it. Let me just look for it here. Hold on. Let's do that. Find my Bible here. Where did I put it? I just got this new iPad and I put it somewhere else that I'm not used to. Is it Luke 12? I think it was Luke 12. Let me look. I didn't write it down. I gotta, if it's one takeaway from doing streaming, it's learning and being challenged on your organizational skills. I'll tell you right now, you'll get organized real quick when you start doing this part-time as a hobby. Let's see, was it Luke 12? I think this is it. Yeah, right here. Okay, so it's Luke 12:22. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than the birds? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest?" And here's something to take away before I get into a little doodles. What, in this day and age, like right now, what's happening with all of our supply chain all around the world, how we can't get certain things. I think for me, it'd be Jesus telling me, "Miles, where's your provision come from? Who cares how much toilet paper you have? Obviously, have you considered the ravens? Obviously, I care more about you. How much more do you think I care about you if I can provide for the ravens?" You know, so that's the thing. This is probably going to be quite a contrast down the road. It's probably going to end up being where we ask the question, we send people into space, and there's people starving on Earth. And you see it all over social media where people are like, well, why are we sending billionaires in space when we have people who are starving on Earth? And it's like, well, it's quite the dichotomy, but ultimately that's really what we're facing. We're going to start seeing our whole world become a metaverse, and then starkly the contrast, everyone becoming more and more hungry and more reliant and more desperate, more and more poor. Because at that point, who cares if you're poor? I can just make whatever virtual world I want and I'll be happy. It's gonna be interesting trying to navigate those waters. One, as believers in Christ, and two, just as humans. Like, it's something we've never done before. And you know, we've done a pretty mediocre job of navigating social media, and just imagine navigating the metaverse. I hope it's going to be amazing, you know, and I want to be encouraging. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I think as a husband and as a dad, I have to think of that stuff now so that I'm ready when it comes out, so that my kids can navigate those waters really, really well. So yeah, so that's my rant. That's my 30 minutes of a layman's sermon. Let's see here. But I did want to show you the time lapse. I think that's always fun to look at. So I'm going to pull that back up again. Show you the time lapse of what we did. Let's see here. Video. Time lapse. All right. Here it is. This is just, you know, me really kind of working in that doodle, man. I'm really messing with atmospheric perspective on these digital graves. I wanted to give the perspective that they're tall and they go on forever, but there's still gonna be those graves on the ground, you know, the old timers, you know, like I'm gonna be an old timer, you know, I'm probably gonna end up with a grave like this, not some hologram, you know. But yeah, this is just me messing with that perspective. It turned out really cool. I dug it. So this is 2-point perspective. You kind of navigate 2 points, and that's like star rating, because you know, probably going to end up with a family heritage rating of, well, your whole family line kind of averages on a rating of social media in the metaverse a 3. So we're going to kind of dictate where you end and where your children will land based on that rating. Wouldn't be surprised. Everything's rated these days. There's just so many good nuggets in this whole Jahovah Jireh provider thing. Like, I don't even want to move on to another name because it just seems so current right now, how important this topic is about provision. What we've been going through the last 2 years. So that's the quick time lapse of that one. I have 2 compositions. So this one I don't really know how I feel about this one. I think I'm kind of getting stuck on the color palette, and I'm kind of losing direction on it, because this one's just more traditional. Like, it's going to be normal. Everyone's going to have gravestones, but you're going to have tech, like a screen on your gravestone, because there's screens on microwaves, there's screens on fridges. If you haven't been to a retail store that sells fridges and microwaves, you need to go check it out, because literally you can have Spotify on a screen on your microwave. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredibly dumb. But hey, I mean, they found a way to do it, and there's a reason for it, I guess. So people say it's for recipes. Maybe because I'm just a guy, I just don't like cooking, so I guess I just don't have a purpose for a recipe on a screen on a microwave. But so yeah, I have these 2 compositions going. I don't know where we'll land next week, but I am hoping to be done by next week, so you'll see where I land next week with Jahovah Jireh, God the provider. I hope you stick around, watch the video the whole way. If you did, please like the video, share the video. It really helps out the channel. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitch. So if you want to join me on Twitch, it helps me get my follower number up, and it also helps me get my viewership up. It's really chill. I'm not trying to pressure anything anymore. It's really just more, this is honestly becoming more of being treated like a ministry, a personal ministry of my own, than it is anything else. And I'm really feeling the fruit personally, and I hope you're feeling the fruit as well. So I'll be back next Friday at 9 p.m. for Drawn to Prayer again, and chances are we're going to stay on Jahovah Jireh. There's just too much good juice in this one, you know? So just be asking yourself and be praying, God, how do you provide for me every day? Who have you used to provide for me that I haven't seen? Kind of like my grandma. Like, who has been used by God to show you great favor, great provision, wealth, blessing? Ask yourself those questions. That's what I'm going to be asking this week, and I can't wait to share with you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm trying this new format where we're just going to stick it short and sweet and not 2 hours long. Yeah, this is going to evolve, and I think it's going to turn into something great. And I'm trusting the Lord with it, every aspect of it. Money, content, creativity, prayer, motivation, inspiration, you name it. I'm asking for it all from Him. He's the great provider. So I'm going to close in prayer, because you know what? I've kind of been forgetting to do that lately. All right. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this opportunity to share, and I'm humbled knowing that people would even chime in for 3 seconds just to even hear one sentence. God, impact them in that 1 to 3 seconds. Motivate them, Lord, to seek you in your presence. God, that they would dive deeper in your word and ask the tough questions and get to know you more. Lord, approach them in an authentic, real way that speaks to them, how you provide for them through the people that they don't even realize you provide. Thank you, Lord, for creativity. Thank you for Facebook and what will eventually become Metaverse. God, and all the creativity and the people who work there, God, we pray over them that you would encourage them and give them conviction and boundaries and teach them how to navigate these uncharted waters in ways that the earth has never seen before. God, I pray that it's all impacted in a positive way and that it all moves humanity in the right direction based on your will, Jesus. And I'm so thankful for you and what you've done on the cross for me, my friends, and my family, and the people I don't even know. Be still, be creative, be weird.